Welcome to the Real Boardloft. I'm Forman, and this right here is the Lost Smooth Operator. This is a new board from Lost, and this board is meant to be a mid-length. And so right now, mid-lengths are trending. Everybody wants to say they have or want a mid-length, and everybody's calling anything from a 7S fun board all the way through a round nose soft top. They're calling it a mid-length. So we'd like to set the record straight, and even though they are all middle lengths in that crowd of boards, mid-lengths are obviously in the middle of the lengths, you know, like anything from like a 6.6 up to about an 8.0, and they're built with glide and momentum in mind when you're surfing them. So not really every board's a mid-length. You could still have a fun board, you could still have a big guy short board, and you can still have a soft top, and those boards aren't really mid-lengths. But this board is a mid-length, and you know, I think probably the easiest way to describe it is that you've got a scale of mid-lengths. So let's say over here you got like maneuverability, and over here you have trimming and gliding. I would put the Smooth Operator this side of center on maneuverability. And so it's a mid-length board that is a true mid-length, but coming from a shortboard designer. So it's definitely got more shortboard influence in it, and some really impressive turning as well. So diving into this board real quick, if you look at this board, we talked about it being a little bit more towards the maneuver end. And so breaking that down, it's got really good turns for a true mid-length, right? Again, eliminating all the fluff mid-lengths that really aren't mid-lengths. But for a true mid-length, something that has momentum, something that has glide, this board has really, really good turning. If you're looking at down here, this is going to be something that's got a wider nose, a wider tail, a straighter outline, and something that just locks up and can just trim at a straight line and go super, super fast. This board can also get up and straight line and go really fast. But where you'll really find this board excelling is not only doing that, but really being able to lay into turns. And I think that's the difference between this board and a lot of the mid-lengths is how this board turns off the tail. And when you can work up that speed and that momentum, which this board, the weight of the board, the momentum of the board, the glide of the board, stuff that you don't have in a normal short board, you can really build up your speed. And then it's nice to be able to do something with it with the area pulled out of the tail and with the tail rocker helping you in the turns. We showed you a quick glimpse of the bottom. You could set the Smooth Operator up with a bunch of different fin setups. You could set it up with just a standard single fin. They used a shorter length single fin box in here, so you can use a single fin. You can use a 2+1, which is a single fin with smaller side bites in the front boxes. You can also set it up as a quad. You can also set it up as an equal thruster, which would be like your thruster fins in the front, and then a thruster sized screw-in fin, or toolless connect fin from FCS also works really well for that purpose. And then I actually also wrote a twin fin with like some deep Futures EN fins, the more vertical, like kind of MR style fins in the front, and it actually works well as a twin fin as well in the right style of waves. So a bunch of different varieties as far as setting the board up. It's nice having the ability to set this one board up in a bunch of different fin configurations, you know, based either on the type of waves that you're surfing. Like a lot of the waves that we surfed were sectiony, you know, like where it really helped to have a multi-fin setup to get up and go. You know, you also have, you know, whatever mood you're in for the day, like, hey, I want to go single fin today, or I want to go thruster today, or 2+1. And then you also have the security that you're not locked into one fin setup. I know a lot of people, you know, when they're looking at these new mid-length boards, they're a little bit hesitant on the single fin setup, like just, I'm not really sure if I'm a single fin guy, you know? And so, yes, you can set it up single fin, but if you don't like the single fin, you could also set it up quad or thruster or however you want. So I know that, you know, working with a lot of people on boards, a lot of times they're kind of on the fence about a single fin, and this allows you to try it, but not necessarily be married to it for the rest of your life. So that's a good way to go on a board like this. As far as surfing it, the range on this board is really wide. I mean, basically this is like take one board and go. You could ride it in almost anything. I found myself, the very first time I rode this board was in micro surf. I mean, surf that I would normally ride like a Christensen Chris Craft or a big nose rider, and it was, I think the biggest wave of the day might have had a peak on it of about waist high, but most of them were about knee high. And the board still had plenty of get up and go and the ability to generate speed and the ability to actually throw good turns and throw spray on really tiny waves. Rode it in that style surf all the way to well overhead. This is on a trip that we took to Puerto Rico, and was able to use all the different fin configurations and get a feel for everything that this board could do. The board that I was riding is it's a 7.4. This is the board I was riding. It's 7.4, 21.63, 2.92, just over 50 liters of volume, 50.5. And just a super fun all around board. I mean, it's a good, with having the glide of this board, combined with pulling some of the nose volume out and then coming to this thumbtail, or rounded pin, like a reduced area rounded pin, it'll hold in some good surf. Like we had some good overhead days at Wildo where the board was still holding completely fine and still able to do those harder turns for a mid-length style board in bigger surf. This board does have more built-in glide than the Crowd Killer, which is something that Lost mentions in their materials on the board, like their catalog and their website. The Crowd Killer is more of a big guy shortboard, where this is more of a mid-length with glide built in, with trim built in, and it's also momentum based too. There's more weight in this board than a Crowd Killer as well. It's got a heavier glass schedule on it, so the deck is 6 and 4. Where the Crowd Killer would be double 4, and then the bottom is 4. So it's got a little bit heavier glass schedule, and then also has a little bit different stringer as well. You can see it has a tapered stringer, and a lot of the classic men lengths are using that. You can see that the stringer is wider up front, still wide right here to reinforce the board, and then it goes to much thinner out the back. So they'll call that either a tapered stringer or a wedge stringer, and what that allows the board to do is to flex more in the tail when you're loading up the turns. So one of the things that Matt mentioned when he designed this board is he wanted to give this board more tail rocker for better turning. And so you can tell looking at this board that it definitely has more tail rocker than a standard, or what you would think is a mid-length. And that's what really opens it up in the turning and allows this board to turn a lot harder and to wrap a lot harder than a standard mid-length, and with the entry rocker being about the same as what you would see on other boards like in this category. So all around, really good board. I found compared to some of the other boards that I ride, predominantly like Christensen's, I'm riding a lot of those, and then the Takayama Howard Mini. This board, it is again on the turning end. It's definitely more. It's got more of a shortboard style wrapping turn, but obviously way better trimming and momentum than a big guy shortboard. Comparing it to the single fin Christensen, I would say that board probably trimmed, if you're just up on the wall and trimming, straight line trimming, it trims a little bit more stable or predictable. This board still trims really well, but where this thing specializes, it has the trim, it has the momentum, but the turns are where this board really shines compared to a lot of the other mid-lengths. So really good all around board, super easy to get on the board and adapt to it, from riding anything else. And again, like I mentioned, a board that you could take either at home or on a trip and be super happy with it in smaller conditions than what you would think it would work, all the way over to well overhead. It's a smooth operator from Lost Surfboards. If you have any other questions on this board, or if you'd like to place an order, you can give us a call at the shop, 252-987-6000, or you can look us up online, realwatersports.com/surfing. Thanks for tuning in.